Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about Paul Krugman. You may be getting tired of me talking about Paul Krugman because I always pick out something he has said that is strongly challenging free markets, and he wants to preach the Keynesianism and why debt is good and why spending and all these things are wonderful. But today, in many ways, I'm going to agree with him on his most recent article. And this I find rather fascinating. I don't agree with his whole article, but there are some things in there that maybe we could come together on. Because I'm always looking for things, even those who seem to be philosophic enemies, why isn't that we can't talk in some areas? And this has to do with the war issue. And so I'm very pleased that I can say some positive things about Paul Krugman. But this article is Why We Fight, but Should Not. Krugman says history has proven that for nations to start a war is a very bad idea, but it keeps happening anyway. So it might be easy to say he's against war because if he's still for all the spending, you know, it doesn't solve the problem. In some ways, that's what he has said. His position is that World War II got us out of the Depression, which I think is a very dangerous idea because whether he said let's go to war or not doesn't matter. People say, well, war is good for the economy. It isn't. And that's more or less what he says in this article. War isn't good for the economy, which is to me a surprise that he has actually said this. So this is very good. Now, the one part of the article that I didn't agree with because he was coming out as anti-war, and he wished that war wasn't going on even in Ukraine, but he blames everything, you know, on the person that started, and of course it was Putin, according to him, who started it. So when he describes policy, he sounds a little bit like he joins the neocons on who gets the blame. But let me mention a few things that he talks about on the war issue itself. He of course says starting a war is a very bad idea. You know, he sticks to his guns about spending the money. It is very necessary you spend a ton of money like we did in World War II, and we should be doing this. And yet he doesn't give up on this idea, the Keynesian idea, that all spending is good, debt is okay, borrowing is okay, printing money is okay, price inflation is okay, all these things are okay, and that's part of it. But yet he comes out and says some decent things about war. He laments that the wars just keep happening. Of course, they keep happening because governments start wars, and if they didn't inflate money, they couldn't pay for these wars. But they just keep happening, and he wished it wouldn't happen because he made the statement, war doesn't pay. He's absolutely right. So it sort of contradicts his other position of saying that all spending is good and World War II got us out of the Depression. He quotes a writer from 1910, Norman Angell, who wrote a book, The Great Illusion. Krugman's conclusion is that the military power is socially and economically futile. So war is not the answer. And he even says even for the victor, there's no answer, and it's too expensive. So this is a real eye-opener for me. I'm glad he's anti-war, and he says some things that are absolutely correct. It doesn't pay, and it's an illusion, and socially and economically, it's futile. So we need to build on this, and we'll work on the other part of his economic philosophy later on because the Keynesian spending is probably futile, just as futile because it's malinvestment and all those other reasons. But I want to at least point this out because it is good that we can find somebody that seems so entirely opposite of what we talk about, is saying some things that we can agree with. And on the issue of war, that's a big deal. Because if we could come together on this, this would be a big opener because I haven't thought about him. I always assumed that what he said, spending is good no matter how silly it is. He thinks if you paid money to people to dig a hole and then paid somebody else money to fill in the hole, there would be an economic benefit, which is, you know, a little bit crazy. But on this issue of war, he says it's futile, it's not to our benefit. So let's hope his agreement with us on the war issue continues. I want to thank you for tuning in today, and come back soon to the Ron Paul channel.